Hey guys, SimCoder here, and before we begin, please do tell me in the comment section what you feel the sounds like, because I got a new microphone to make these lessons better, and I'm just trying to get some input in what you think about it. I think it sounds better. It is not the best mic out there, but I think it does the job. So yeah, let's get right into today's lesson. And today we are going to work on the camera, as I've said in the last lesson. So we are going to make the preview for the camera, which is a preview is what you can see. So we are basically going to display wherever the camera is seeing on our display. And so it is really easy. Taking the picture is a bit harder, but no problems still there. So here we are in the CameraFragment class, and we are going to go inside manifest because we need to change some things around. We mainly need to get some permissions to use the camera. So let's go inside here and say user permission and Android dot permission dot camera, and I make some mistakes there. Okay, Android.permission camera, yeah, that's exactly right. You can close that off. And now we need a new users feature, Android name, Android dot hardware dot camera, and we need another one which is for the autofocus. So just copy the camera hardware camera one and just add autofocus. Okay, that's all that we had to do, and now we are free to use the camera mainly on the Android devices prior to Android 6. If they are 6 or above, we need to add yet another if in the code, but we'll get to it in a second. So let's go into the camera fragment and let's open up the layout of the camera. Fragment camera. And to make it work, all we have to have is a surface view. A surface view will allow us to display wherever the camera is seeing in real time in our screen. So let's just add it here, surface view, match parent and match parent. It will obviously contain all the screen. And let's just give it an ID of surface view. Okay. I was thinking we'll add the sign out button at the end of the lesson, that way we don't get in the way of this. Okay, so now we'll need two variables to make this all work. The first of which is the variable camera. Camera imports wherever you have to, Alt enter enter, and choose let me check if it is the hardware or the, yeah, it is hardware. Okay, so go inside here, import class, and choose hardware. Obviously, now thinking about it, it is kind of obvious. So, and after that, use surface view and my surface view. Okay, that's it, and now we can get to the whatever we need to do. So let's just do a find view by ID in the onCreate view, and remember, you must do everything before the return view. You can't do after it. So let's say m surface view, m surface holder. Oops. It is supposed to be holder, I'm sorry. Surface holder, yeah, it is supposed to be surface holder. but we can add another one for the surface view, for the surface holder, and everything is good. So let's add yet another variable. I'm sorry about that, I forgot about this one. I was finding it kind of strange that we didn't have it. So import class surface holder. Okay. So now instead of surface view, let's say surface holder equals to surface view dot get holder. The holder is basically what controls the surface view and what allows us to add something to the surface view. It is the bridging gap between the camera and the surface view. If you think about that, it isn't that hard like that. Now let's say surface holder dot add callback this, and we'll get to this in a second. And surface holder dot set type surface holder dot surface type push buffers. Okay, so right now this is making a callback for something in this class that doesn't exist because we haven't created it, but we will right now. So we must implement a callback for the surface holder. So implement surface holder dot callback, and now click Alt Enter, and it will import all the methods that we need for this callback. And as you can see, prior to this, the this was underlined because it couldn't find any method to move here, but now it does, and so it is all right. So we can start working on the surface created, which will be the most important one. The other ones we don't even have to worry about, so I'm going to collapse them completely. Don't erase them because you need to have them, you just aren't going to do anything with them. Give some space here, and yeah, so now we can actually tell the surface holder what are the parameters of the camera and what we want to do with it. So the first thing that we have to do is to open the camera, and we do that by saying simply camera open, and it is underlined with yellow. I'm going to make this bigger. It is underlined with yellow, and that's because I'm sorry, it isn't camera open, it is camera equals to camera open with a capital C. Okay, and it should have been underlined, but I don't know if they patched it up, because normally you have to surround it with a try and the catch. If you have to, then there's no problem with that. It is just if something goes wrong, it usually asks for it, but no worries, we can move on. So now you are going to get the parameters of the camera, and we do that by saying camera dot parameters and this is a variable of the type camera.parameters with the name parameters. And now we attach our camera that we open up here, the camera's parameters, to our parameters. So camera.get parameters. And now we are going to set everything that we want out of the camera. So the problem with our view is that the camera comes lying down. So imagine the screen 90 degrees on its side. That's the image that the camera gives you. And so we must set the orientation to our orientation, which is with a 90-degree orientation according to the original position, which is lie down in the horizontal position. So let's just say camera dot set display orientation 90. This is 90 degrees. Okay. Now we are going to set the refresh rate that we want. So I'm going to set 30 FPS. I'm sorry, and you could set more depending on the screen. But I don't know if you go overboard, if you set an FPS higher than what the screen can handle, if that will lag down the phone, if it will crash the phone. So I'll say 30 because almost all phones can support that, so there's no problem with it. So 30, and then we are going to set the focus to automatic. Set focus mode camera dot parameters dot focus mode continuous picture, and this will make sure that the camera is always trying to focus on the object. Camera, it is kind of like a video. In phones, the video is always trying to focus on something. So set preview display surface holder, and wait a second, yeah, surface holder, and this surface holder will be this one up top, but right now it is this one that it is talking about, and it is underlined, don't worry, we'll work on that in a second. And camera dot start preview, and it is underlined because it wants a try and a catch in case something goes wrong. So just click Alt enter enter and it will surround it. Okay, and that's almost everything that we have to do. Only one thing left, and that's to give the permissions to Android 6 and up, as I've said in the beginning of the lesson. And it is easy, it is just a pain in the ass to do, because I don't understand why you need it for 6 and up, but you don't need for the others. So yeah, but we can work on that, and it is, the problem is within this callback. Yeah, in this callback, simply say if activity sorry, if activity compact dot check permission get context comma Android dot manifest dot permission dot camera, and as you can see, it is just like the permission that we gave in our manifest file, and we say different from package manager dot permission granted then we make a request for the user to manually give the permission to the application. That's what you have to do. So it is saying if this the phone doesn't have the permission camera, if it is not granted to this application, and that's what you have to do. Now you have to make a request for something that's outside the app, for the phone to ask the user to authorize the app to use the camera. So that's how it works. There is no better way of doing that, but I just find it's kind of stupid for them to do it like this, but whatever. So now you say activity compact dot request permissions get activity comma new string and a couple of brackets. I don't know how to say it in English. And now open up the real brackets and say, and we can actually copy Android permission, Android manifest camera, permission camera, and paste it here. And then outside of the brackets, you simply say camera, camera request code. And this is a request code, and this is a variable that we are going to create up here. So let's say final int camera, and now the number is irrelevant. Let's just say 1, and you will understand in a second because I will explain it, so don't worry. And then simply say else. We can add the callback and do everything. Okay, so that's what you have to do. But now we have to get a request code. Actually, yeah, let's do it. Either way, more is better than less. So let's say on request code results, on request permission results. So this will be called whenever this line of code is ran, and whenever it returns a value, like returns if it was successful or not, we receive it, and we receive it with a camera request code attached, which in this case is 1, so that we know what that request was for. So in here, super okay, we can leave it there. Let's switch the request code, even though in this case we only make a request for one thing, which is a camera, and so we know that every request code that will show up in here will be 1. We have to, just for good measures, make a switch. And even if you want to make other requests, so that you have everything ready for you. So case camera request code, 2 points, open up brackets, if grant results dot length bigger than 0, and grant results 0 equals to package manager dot permission granted. So this if will be triggered if the request, the result of the request turns out to be positive and the user has granted the app with the permission. Then we'll try to add the callback again, even though I believe it doesn't work like this, because it will have to restart the application. But let's just make the code, and if it works, it works. Otherwise, it isn't that important. So if not, we can make a toast, make text, get context, and this will tell the user that the app won't work without the application. So we can say, please provide the permission. I believe that works. So now toast dot length long and dot show. Can add a break below, and that's it. So yeah, it should be working by now. Let's just add the sign out button, because it is extremely simple and we can do it now, and we'll do it right in the fragment, the camera fragments. We just are going to change the linear layout to frame layouts. Frame layouts, frame layout, and this isn't here, it is here. Okay, and let's just add a button for the sign out. Wrap content, text, logouts, ID, logouts. Forgot the plus something ID. Okay. So now we are ready. We can go in here and simply make a call for the button. Let's do it right here. So button m logout equals to view dot find view by ID r dot ID dot logout. And now we, as always, do a set on click listener. And let's make a call for a function right here. So sign out or log out, better yet, because the button's name is like that. And let's create a method right here. And I'm going to move it to the end because it isn't important. And in here, we are simply going to say Firebase auth.getInstance dot sign out. Oops, not that. Sign out. Oops, it is with a not capital letter. Sign out. Sign out. Here we go. So this is the only thing that you need to sign out the user. But if you sign out the user will still be left in the same page. So what you have to do is to go in here and create an intent for the user to move on to the splash screen activity, and then it will do what we already did in the 2 lessons ago, I believe. So it will go through all of that, and if the user is logged in, then it will move on to the main activity, and if the user isn't, which in this case won't be, it will go to the choose login or registration activity. But it is just to kind of restart the app. Intent.add flags, and we'll erase every activity that's on top of this activity. In the not this activity CameraFragment, but the main activity. Remember, this is just a fragment. It isn't an activity. So yeah. So one thing is that when we ask for get context, it won't retrieve CameraFragment, it will retrieve main activity. Just something to keep in mind. Start activity, intent, and return. And it should be working by now. So yeah, let's just run the app and see if everything checks out. Okay, so the app finished loading, but I found out a couple of minor mistakes that we have to fix. So the first of which is that we didn't set the parameters to the camera, and so obviously none of that would work. All you have to do is to go below focus mode and say camera.setParameters, which is this variable right here. It was my bad, I'm sorry about that. It simply split my fingers, and if you try to run without this, it would run kind of smoothly, but it wouldn't focus, the orientation wouldn't be set to 90, and the frame rate, I believe the default is 30, so there wouldn't be any problem there. But with everything else, yeah, make sure you set the parameters. The other thing was that I forgot to do the find view by ID for the M surface view, and so the app would crash because right here this would be null and you can get the order of something that's null. So right now I have this in my phone and I'm going to hit screen recorder. Okay, and I'm going to show you that it works. So in here you can see that it tries to focus and it works just fine. Okay. And now for the logout button, if we try to log out, it should take us to the splash screen and directly to the login and registration activity. So yeah, that's working just fine. It is going extremely well by now. So yeah, I mean, that's all. We don't have anything else to do in this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll work on taking a picture, which is a bit more tricky because we have to add something to the parameters that I'm yet to understand better. So I'm going to study it to try to explain to you the best of my abilities, and let's see how it works out. So yeah. Again, thank you all very much for watching. If you are liking this series, please do leave a like and subscribe. I'm currently working on some cool projects on the side. Let's see how that works out, and I'm excited to show you guys. So yeah, hope to see you again tomorrow, and ciao.
California dreaming about you.